All right, welcome into another day in our daily Devos in December journey. Today we are going to be in Luke chapter 2, verses 13 through 15. And so what are we doing? We're kind of walking through a little bit of Advent kind of stuff, the appearing, the coming of Christ. And as Christians today, we know that we are, first and foremost, remembering the first coming of Christ and kind of thinking through what it must have been like to anticipate the coming of the promised Messiah, and just kind of understand like what did people go through, what was that like, and hoping that stirs some awe and some wonder in our hearts. But then also for us, we know how the whole account played out. He was born in a manger, he lived a perfect life, died on the cross, rose from the dead. We know that he wasn't here to lead a political revolution. We know that he was here to do something much deeper, bigger, longer lasting, stronger, more fantastic. And so we're excited to celebrate the birth of our King, Jesus Christ, during this Christmas season. We're also looking forward to the second advent of Christ. And so that's a super important part of our journey here in the Advent season, is looking at our hearts, reflecting on what Jesus has done, reflecting on his promises to come again, but also then evaluating our hearts and our preparedness, our readiness for the second coming of Christ. How am I living? How am I honoring God with my life day in and day out? And so we're going to just take a look at kind of on that note, of evaluating where our lives are at. And we're going to read Luke chapter 2, verses 13 through 15. It says, "Suddenly the angel was joined by a vast host of others, the armies of heaven, praising God and saying, 'Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace on earth to those with whom God is pleased.' When the angels had returned to heaven, the shepherds said to each other, 'Let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about.'" And so I mentioned, yesterday in our devotional that the shepherds, the lowliest of the low, the down and outers of society, really, basically. And yet God chose to announce the coming of the Messiah first and foremost to those people. And that's so awesome. It's so weird. Like, God, what were you doing? But God was doing something very on purpose, very strategic. I think it's a good reminder for us that sometimes God doesn't act according to our expectations, according to our plans, because we think we've got it all figured out. But quite honestly, we just don't. I mean, again, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, is that lots of people that identified Jesus as the Messiah, they thought the disciples included, so it was people close to him, thought he was there to overthrow the Roman government, thought he was there to do something in the temporal, in the right now. And I think sometimes that's how we are when we're expecting the plan of God to unfold, is we get stuck in the here and now, and we're looking for a solution to something right now, and we miss the big long-term picture of the eternal thing that God's trying to accomplish. And so I just think it's really big for us to take a step back and to realize, what? The plan in Bethlehem did not roll out like people would have expected. I don't think anybody expected Jesus to be born in tiny little Bethlehem outside with the animals, the stink of the animal, whatever, like all that stuff. I don't think people anticipated that. I don't think that was their big plan. And yet that's exactly how God laid it out. That's exactly how God made it happen. Because he had a plan, he had a purpose, he had a message he wanted to communicate. And then I love the shepherds there. The angels come, they present the message, and they look at each other and they're like, man, we got to get up on out of here, and we got to go see We've got to respond to what God has just made us aware of. So I just want to ask you, what has God made you aware of? What is he stirring in your heart? What is God calling you to? And what has been your response? I mean, don't even think about asking me, okay? Because I have not given you permission to try to bring some kind of conviction on me, okay? This is me asking you, all right? And so, great question for us to ask, because, the shepherds were genuinely interrupted. They were genuinely surprised. They did not have the angelic visitation on their calendar. It was not in their Google Calendar, not in their Apple Calendar. No, it was a surprise. And yet they made the adjustment in their calendar. They made the adjustment and said, you know what? We had plans of things we were going to do tonight, but we're not going to do those anymore because we are going to go see Jesus. So what's your calendar looking like? What is your heart attitude towards Jesus looking like? That when he surprises you, when he pops in and he's like, hey, I got something I want to tell you. I got something I want to share with you. And it's over here and I need you to come check it out. Is your response to look at your friends and be like, let's go? I hope that's my response. I hope that that's your response. That we can be people that are look at each other and say, let's go. We're going to go see what God has told us about. God bless you tons and tons. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you tomorrow.